Hi, my name is Nathan. Today the topic is, can I retire off of my comic book investing, or can you even retire off of your comic book investing? Brought to you by Rated Comics. But disclaimer alert, I am not a professional comic book investor or a financial advisor of any sort. I am just some bald dude on the internet just talking about comic book investing at a comic book shop. Bald guy. You see that? Bald guy. But with that being said, let's get into the content. Comic books can be suitable investments if you invest in comics and their market value rises. Comics that contribute to market value rising are comics containing debuts of iconic characters, first appearances, key issues, and comics that contain the characters' origin stories or some outstanding artwork, just to name a few. And if you got all those elements, key issue, first appearance, awesome artwork, and an amazing story or an origin story, guess what, baby? In terms of comic book investing, now you cooking with grease, baby. Comics like these can give you 100% return over 3 years or less. The key word is can, and it's all subjective depending on the market and the people. But we'll get more into that later. Comics outside these categories don't tend to see much price appreciation to be considered suitable investments. These comics are usual issues with less or no significance. The possibility of making money from comics will come to you naturally if you have an interest in it and you put in the work. So now we begin. Where do you start from? Of course, there's a point where we all need to start from somewhere. We all have a start. Like any other venture or business venture, if you want to invest in comics, then the first thing you will need to do is to learn everything that you can. Attend Comic Cons, visit reputable comic stores. Heck, you can even check our online store, RatedComics.com, link in description, and our online auction on Whatnot for some awesome deals and giveaways. And you can talk to some experts on Facebook groups and other online platforms where you can make enough dollar bills for your retirement if you invest in comic books. A pro tip is to study the most famous comic book characters. And whenever a superhero is set to appear in a movie or TV show, that raises their popularity. It is also essential to know the names, abilities, and backstories of the most famous names in comics, like Batman, Superman, Iron Man, Spider-Man, Captain America, Thor, the Avengers, X-Men, and the Justice League. Another thing is, know what kind of comic book investor you are willing to become. Like any other asset you spend your money on, you'll need to decide what your budget will be and how much of an initial investment you're going to make on comic books. There is a lot of room in the comic book investor market, with prices ranging from a few dollars all the way up to $3 million and higher. To plan out your budget, you will need to consider how many comic books you'll buy per year and exactly how long you plan to hold on to them. After you study the market and spend money on the asset or the comic book, nerd, kidding. I just recently started a little bit of a comic book collection myself. You'll need to figure out whether you're going to play this game long term or short term. You can select comics that have shown slow and steady growth over time for long-term investments such as Silver Age, Bronze Age, and Golden Age comics. These are the comic books that have had their value appreciated over time, and that is a pattern that will continue. For example, people who bought a copy of Amazing Spider-Man 15 in 1962 when it first came out, the first appearance of Spider-Man, now holds it at a value of $3.6 million as of the recording of this video. Not a bad way to retire if you ask me. Or what about Action Comics? The first appearance of Superman, that has some coin right there too. $3 million, I'm sure that'll help with the retirement, or maybe to go on a hunt for another gem of comic books right there. Investors looking to play the short game could buy comic book issues when they're gaining traction. They should look to sell these comics before the interest subsides. These comics have only been out for a few months and are selling from all sorts of ranges, 10, 20, 50, 100 bucks, few hundred bucks, whatever the case would be. It's all subjective with the market. Often, these comics are popular because their character might be appearing in a movie or might be making their comic book debut. The best example here would be that of Ultimate Fallout issue number 4 when it came out in 2011, which marks the debut of Miles Morales in the world of Spider-Man. Before there was any news of the animated movie Into the Spider-Verse, this comic was just another comic book. After the film was released, its value surged to 4 figures. Now, obviously, when you consider getting your comic book CGC graded, the wait process is one thing. You can always pay money to expedite the grading process to lower the time. That also increases or helps increase the value of your comic too. Comic books, like any other investment, tend to work in profits and losses depending how good or bad you are. Investing in comic book characters such as Spider-Man, Avengers, Daredevil, Fantastic Four, or X-Men will bring you profits. In contrast, obsolete characters in their current time, and this can be all subjective here, such as Wolverine, Spawn, or Blade, are potentially risky because they won't bring you any profits right now. Different story if you bought and held on to Spawn issue number 1 when it first debuted in 1992. That's worth some coin. And if you have it graded, potentially worth even more. However, the latter could be good options for the future, considering they have movies coming up. So you'll need to take into account some of these other factors as well, because they will play a big part in the outcome of your investment. There are several pros of comic book investing, such as the potential to see significant returns if you choose the right lineup of comics. You know, the stuff that you'll be cooking with grease with. This is an excellent way for comic book fans to add to their investment portfolio, because earning money for doing something that you love is a dream job. Being that it's a tangible asset that you can keep for an extended period of time shows their longevity. Nothing against crypto or stocks. I invest in those too, but it's always good to diversify your investments. Finally, being that it's an alternative asset that isn't connected to your traditional financial markets makes them great to invest in, but equally challenging. Challenging in that you will need to carry out all or most of the research by yourself. The value of comic books is subjective, so it depends on the market's demand. More people are saving on comic books, so it can be potentially hard to make money on newer editions that are being released, but do not be discouraged. Buying comic books in large numbers can be expensive, and the returns might be hard to realize. Not to mention, figuring out where to store all of your amazing comic book collection, that could be a challenge too. The boys are gonna have to tell the missus that she has too much clothes in her closet. Business decisions to be made. I'm just joking. No, don't you dare say the bald guy on the internet told my wife business decisions have to be made. Comics, baby. If you're planning on getting into comic book investing, link in description if you wish to purchase some storage boxes and bags and boards for your upcoming comic book investing venture. The final question remains with all that we discussed. Can you retire from my comic book investing? Can I retire from my comic book investing? The answer to this is that it depends strictly on how you would like to take this venture. Comic books are an investment you'll need to be quite patient in after you invest your money, because returns may not come that quick. Even if returns do come quick, they may not be that big. Who knows? So spending time in this sector will be wise, and carrying out your research before splashing any money in it. In the best case scenario, since people have managed to earn millions in it, who knows how lucky you might get with a single issue that'll change your fortunes and help you retire with the next action or amazing fantasy comic. Buy and hold, baby. That's my personal strategy. But with that being said, what'd you guys think of the video? Comment below, let me know. And also, just FYI, I've only just recently started comic book investing. I thought the idea was great because I didn't start getting into comic books until a year ago, because I was asked to make a comic book review video, and the rest is history. So for those that are watching that are serious comic book investors, comment below, let me know your thoughts on what you guys saw in the video. What's your investment strategy, or what do you look for, or what do you go for? I like to get the conversation started and see what you guys' feedback is. If you like the content we're throwing up, you know what to do. Don't be shy and don't be stingy. Here at Rated Comics, we do awesome comic book reviews, comic book related content with the occasional comic book giveaway. Not to mention, don't forget to check us out on Whatnot. Link in description. Check us out on our live auction feed. There's some deals to be had there, and some giveaways too. Thanks again for watching. Until next time.